9:02 on Thursday, September the 24th, 2020. We will wait 1 minute. Oh, never mind, we do not have anyone coming in. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the first of three public hearings as required through the official code of Georgia with regards to millage rates. This is a public hearing held by staff, the administrative department of the city of Jasper. I am the city manager, Brandon Douglas. We have in attendance our city clerk and finance director, Beverly Ragland, our deputy finance director, Lindsay Williams, and in the audience at this moment we do have Mr. Dan Poole and Chief Lovell and Chief Roper. We are conducting this meeting as a hybrid of sorts for in-person as well as via Zoom. The hyperlink is included on the agenda. Mary, I do not think we have anyone in the waiting room. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, we do not have anyone in the waiting room. There is no one waiting in the lobby. So we'll go ahead and get started. For the public and for the persons in attendance, this is a requirement when a municipality or a local government does not consider approving a millage rate that is the rollback millage rate as calculated through the tax digest. For some of you, you may recall, I held the administrative hearing last year here at City Hall on October 7th. It is merely an opportunity for the public to hear staff's points relative to the millage rate and why staff is not recommending to roll it back. So at this moment, I will go ahead and give a brief presentation. For putting all this into context, there will be a 6 p.m. Public hearing before the mayor and council tonight, Thursday, September 24th, here at City Hall, as well as Zoom. There is a different hyperlink URL for that particular meeting as displayed on the agenda as published. Needless to say, at the September 14th meeting, Council did accept staff's recommendation to move forward with advertising millage rate of 6.78 mills. This would indicate an increase in the property tax that we collect. Therefore, we did advertise this as a notice of a tax increase. And the rollback rate is 4.345. The current city millage rate is 4.655 mills. I will ask Mary to go to the third page. This is a historical chart that does display from 1990 to 2019 the millage rate for the city of Jasper, highlighted in yellow. The column just to the left is Pickens County. That is nothing more than just a reference point illustrating the historical context of the millage rate. As many of you are aware, the millage rate has had a rollback or stayed the same for the last 20 years. The last time the millage rate was raised was from 2000 to 2001. That was the last time it was raised for the city of Jasper. Therefore, there may be some questions about why staff is asking to increase the millage rate from 4.655 to the 6.78. In the most simplistic of terms, when staff, city manager, and finance department met with department heads, it was revealed that based upon normal operating costs of their departments, basically to keep the same levels of service, they submitted a preliminary 2021 budget. It accounted for a deficit of about $550,000. Over time, when you have a revenue increase of 2%, 2.5%, and expenditures ranging from 3 to 5.5% per year, over time, that is not a sustainable financial model. Staff recognized this year with the new administration that we needed to look at making corrective actions so that we can have the general fund try to be as much of a self-sustaining entity as it can be without receiving too much augmentation from other enterprise funds. Therefore, we did look, and in 2019, the revenue that the city received, the last actual revenue of 2019, was $4,443,306. This is not a use of fund balance or loans. In 2020 amended budget, we are estimating a revenue of $4,448,689. Being mindful that we are in the midst of a pandemic, we did not want to just make decisions based upon the pandemic, so we wanted to bring the historical context of the 2019 actuals, bring it in line with the 2020, and it does appear as though that it is consistent insomuch as our projected 2021 general fund revenue equates to about $4,561,172. So the amended 2020 budget to the estimated 2021 budget is about a 2.5% increase. When you look at expenses and you look at the 2020 amended budget of $4,932 or $32,325 versus the estimated $5,106,492, that's an approximate 3.5%. So although staff is going to continue working towards getting with the elected over the next couple of weeks to see how we can even reduce that number more, you can see that the 3.5% increase versus the 2.5% increase in revenue, over time, that compounds and causes the gap that we now experience. In regards to property tax, the general fund budget of approximately $5 million, 29% of the total revenue we receive is from property tax. So there are other 70% of other revenues that come in to help fund the general fund services. So although the millage rate is very vital for our success and sustainability as an organization, as a local government, it is right at 30% versus 70% other. It is important to note that as the local body, the elected do have control over the millage rate, so they can help decide how that piece of the pie, and we'll get to that in just a moment, grows, so to speak. There are so many other sources of revenue that we do not have control over. Therefore, there are many unknowns continuing through this pandemic and into 2021. So, I think by and large what most people are more concerned about is what are the implications for them as a taxpayer for the city of Jasper. This does not apply to properties in unincorporated Pickens County or the school board. The school tax, county tax, is separate from the city of tax. City of Jasper property owners are the ones to be taxed, and that's it. I believe it is slide 4, perhaps. In the column green is the existing amount of taxes that persons pay to the city of, based upon the 2019 millage rate of 4.655 mills. We have provided a range of property values from $50,000 to $500,000, just to give a broad example. So for instance, if you have a property owner with a county appraised property value of $140,000, you are in effect paying to the city of $261 per year. So to provide services to our community, that property owner pays $240 per year. The blue column is calculated at the 2020 proposed 6.78 millage rate. So for instance, the same property owner with a value of $140,000 is now paying $9.92 a month more. So just a shade under $10 a month is what the implications would be to a property owner of $140,000. If you are a $250,000 appraised piece of property through the county tax assessor, so not in terms of what maybe a home down the street sold from, you'd have to look at your county tax appraisal and see that if it was appraised at $250,000, you are paying $465 per year. The proposed 6.78 millage rate would be $678 per year, or an increase of $17.71 per month. Now, the implications of the per month, most folks may have their annual taxes escrowed through their mortgage. So I bring that to light because per month you may make some adjustments of ranging anywhere from $10 to $20 for a proposed 6.78 millage rate. Once again, it is staff's goal to work with the elected officials through this public hearing process to recommend and adopt a millage rate that is reflective of providing a balanced budget. It is not our goal to just simply adopt a 6.78 millage rate. What we will be doing is conducting another public hearing tonight. We'll be conducting a public hearing on October the 5th at 5:30, whereupon it is staff's goal to have gotten with the elected officials through their committees to identify ways to reduce certain preliminary department budgets. One of the confusions that most people have is with regards to the budget process. The budget for the city of Jasper is on a calendar year, January to December. So we will be adopting next year's budget December 7th. So we have to adopt the millage before we approve the budget. So we have to have a general idea and understanding of what the millage rate will be in order to finalize the budget, therefore providing a balanced budget to the elected body for consideration and approval. Once again, we are not recommending this without knowing that anytime there is a proposed tax increase, it is not something that anyone enjoys. However, what we want to illustrate is this example, as provided, should help ease concern as to what the implications are to you as a property owner with respect to your specific property. Mary, if you could go to the very bottom, the $500,000 a year piece of property at the 4.655 millage rate pays the city, I believe, $931 per year. The proposed 6.78 millage rate would yield a $1,356 per year tax bill, or $35 per month, or $425 more per year. So the $35 per month on a $500,000 piece of property is what the implications would be for a millage rate of 6.78. We cannot approve a millage rate more than 6.78. When we publish the notice in the paper, the most we can approve is 6.78. So when we were doing our recommendation to the elected body, we took into account that it could very well go down, because as we continue to look at numbers and work at ways to reducing cost, but we cannot exceed. So if we take the best guess of what our deficit may be, the 6.78 millage rate should fund the general fund and give us a balanced budget. Now, if you could go to the next slide. If anyone is interested in looking at the general fund expenditures, the pie chart as illustrated demonstrates the 2021 proposed general fund expenditures of about $5.1 million. Now, what that gives the community is roughly 57% of public safety. That is not unusual for local governments to have the biggest piece of the pie to be public safety. It is a service that the local governments provide to our residents and businesses. It is a driving force behind economic growth. It's a driving force behind why people want to live in a community and have a quality of life. The 32% piece of the pie in 2021 as proposed, to put it in context, in 2015 actual numbers, that particular department was 30%. So as you can see, from 2015 to 2021 proposed, there has not been much growth with respect to the police department or any of the assets or etc. Same way with the fire department. 2021 proposed is 25% of the general fund budget. 2015 actuals numbers, that was 25% of the general fund expenditures in 2015. So there again, what we are attempting to do is begin with this administration identifying ways to be a sustainable and then progressing towards providing and enhancing quality services for our residents and businesses and visitors. So therefore, the 57% number is not too alarming to Professionals, because it is consistent with historically what this community has expected from the general fund budget. So we are trying to hold the course on that. With respect to those two departments, the budgets they're in, the 32% of the police department's budget, I believe it is 84% comprised of salary and benefits. So that in and of itself tells me that there's very little margin for any sort of cuts, so to speak, without reducing workforce. Same way with the fire department, it is 85% comprised of salary and benefits. Therefore, that in and of itself reduces the ability for me to make significant cuts with the exception of reduction in workforce. That in and of itself provides me with the ability to say that there always is some room to look at cutting expenditures in all departments. But I do not think that it is the goal of this administration or this elected body to reduce services. During my 1.5 year tenure here, I have been exposed and advised that there needs to be an enhancement of certain services, as well as perhaps adding to services, as well as to bring up the hourly rate of some of our public servants. I completely agree with that sentiment. However, under the circumstances, this proposed millage rate does not provide us with the ability to increase any employees, nor does it provide the ability to increase or provide any raises. So I want to make that clear for the public as well, that what we are doing is looking at the general fund budget and saying if we want to continue to provide the services as we are currently existing, this is the proposed millage rate. If you could, Mary, go to the next slide, is the revenue pie, and that in and of itself demonstrates that the 29% that we receive from property tax is a very large piece of the pie, but there are 70% of other sources that we have to make sure are going to stay consistent, and that is something that's very difficult in a pandemic, to try to gauge whether or not these other sources of revenue are going to continue to maintain at the existing level or even be enhanced for future. So that just about concludes any of the comments that I would like to convey or discussion points that I would like to convey. Finance Department has done a great job in providing this information. There are many different points that we could make to the millage rate, but one of the concepts that I wanted to get across at least this morning, and will want to convey in the other public hearings to the elected body and to the public, is that the implications to the property owners, if broken down into a monthly situation, would pretty well be still less than what we all normally do in our own day-to-day lives and household expenses. So I wanted to contextualize it in that manner. So I will end my discussion point. Beverly, Lindsay, do y'all have anything y'all want to add that I may have left off? And this is a public hearing. Therefore, I will ask if there is anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment. This is not a discussion. This is an opportunity for the public to be heard, and then we can take that information under advisement as we continue our due diligence. So with respect to the public hearings tonight and on October the 5th, we will not be engaging in a debate or a discussion or dialogue. This is an opportunity for the public to be heard, for staff and then subsequently the elected to be heard or to listen, and then to ask staff for any clarifying points. And then that way the process can continue to be adhered to. So with respect to that, I will ask if there was anyone in person in this chamber or in the lobby area, if they have any comments they would like to make. And then, consistent with other hybrid meetings, we will then turn our attention to anyone on the actual virtual platform of Zoom, if they have any. So I will ask first, anyone in this room, public comments? And I am getting no. Therefore, is there anyone in the lobby that would like to make public comments? It does not appear as though. Is there anyone on the virtual platform of Zoom that would like to make any public comments? And for the record, this particular meeting will be summarized and briefed to the mayor and council prior to my presentation tonight. And they will also have the ability to watch these recordings prior to the 6 p.m. meeting and or subsequently thereafter. So is there anyone on the virtual platform that would like to make any public comments? Mary, if you could unmute all and give us one moment. And I do not see anyone that has a virtual hand up. So with respect to that, I believe the next item on the agenda is for an adjournment. Therefore, I will adjourn this administrative public hearing. This particular public hearing will be held tonight at 6 o'clock at City Hall, as well as Zoom with a different URL. So please reference the appropriate agenda for the public hearing at 6 p.m. And I thank you all for your attendance. Good morning.